Hello everyone, I'm Kavita Isvaran. I'm a member of the faculty at the Center for Ecological Sciences at the Indian Institute of Science. I'm a behavioral ecologist. The kinds of questions that I'm interested in have to do with the diversity that we see in nature, in animal behavior, and life histories. So, in my research group, we ask different questions in basic and applied evolutionary ecology. Here are some photos from the different study systems that we work on. And as you can see, we work on a range of systems from mosquitoes and butterflies to lizards and antelope. So, the work that I'm talking to you about, the work that we're interested in doing, is only possible because of the dynamic, enthusiastic, capable, and passionate students that we've been very fortunate to attract. So, apart from being amazing at their work and carrying out these exciting research projects, these students contribute to making the lab environment really fun and engaging. They mentor younger students, they support each other, provide stimulating feedback, and just make the lab a fun place to be in. In our lab, the question that drives us is the variation that we see in nature. That is, animals show this marvelous range of solutions to common problems like where to live, what to eat, how to escape predators, how to find mates, how many offspring to have, how much to invest in each offspring. So, all these problems have diverse solutions. So, what we are interested in our lab is to try to understand how such diversity has evolved and especially how do different ecological settings act to shape the kind of behavior and life history traits that we see in a population. So, for example, here are three different examples of different ways that males try to gain mates, from defending one female, defending a group of females, or completely leaving defense and instead aggregating to form a lek, an aggregation of males who display, who are then visited by individual females, who assess different males, mate with one male, and leave. So, to address these questions, why do we see diversity in traits and why do we see a particular form in a particular area? The approach that we use is an optimality combined with a game theoretic approach. What that means is that we can think of, for a particular problem, there might be a range of possible traits. These different traits have varying costs and benefits, and we expect selection to favor the trait that gives you maximum benefit allowing for the cost. So this is the optimal behavior. So as you can see, this approach examines how different costs and benefits interact to favor a particular behavior. But the interesting thing here is that these costs and benefits are not static, they are dynamic. They depend on the ecological conditions, on resources, predators, on demographic conditions like density, on social conditions like what other individuals in the population are doing. So, we study how ecological conditions shape these trade offs, shape these costs and benefits to favor particular behavioral and life history traits. We are also interested in the consequences of these evolved traits like behavior for population patterns. So, let me briefly introduce the different study systems we work with. One of these is the Peninsula Rockagama, Samophilus dorsalis. We've been studying this system now for many years at a particular field site in southern Andhra Pradesh. And here we take the rare approach of catching every individual in our study site when we first see them, marking them and following them across their lifespan. We then make observations, behavioral observations on them, and also perform field experiments. So, the particular sets of questions we've been asking here have to do with sexual selection. That is, the traits that evolve in the competition for mates. And as you know, sexual selection is known to select for conspicuous, spectacular traits. And we've been looking at how multiple traits, color traits, like dynamic color change, like these lizards show, from going, they are able to go from cryptic coloration to very conspicuous coloration in a matter of seconds. So, color traits together with movement traits, head bobs, push ups, postural traits, puffing out their throat, gaping with their mouth, and so on. So, how do you get this complex signal repertoire, and how is it shaped by different evolutionary forces? We've also been comparing how sexual selection acts on males versus females because they face very different life histories. Um, so, how does the competition for resources, for mates and predation affect traits in females, and how is that different from what happens in males? And as I was telling you, together with observations, we also carry out field experiments. I'm just going to show you a tiny clip of a competition experiment. What you'll see is the response of a male to a simulated competitor, a 3D printed model, and notice the range of displays he shows from a color trait, yellow red, to gape and aggression, and also head bobs. Together with looking at sexually selected traits, we're also looking at the evolution of animal personality. So, this is consistent differences that you see between individuals in the same context. So, for example, an individual approached by a predator, some individuals may consistently leave early, be risk averse, while others might be reluctant to leave and wait till the predator approaches really close. So, why do we see such boldness, shyness variance within the same population? Similarly, there are exploratory aspects to personality, aggressive aspects to personality. What maintains such variation in personality? What are the factors that result in one individual going along a trajectory towards boldness, while another individual may go along a trajectory towards shyness? Those are also a set of questions we've been asking with this lizard study system. We've also been looking at sexual selection and mating strategies in blackbuck, Antelope cervicapra. We've been studying them on these leks that I just told you about, and we've been looking at how males compete, how females select from among males, and whether you have competition among females too. So, all these sexual selection processes on blackbuck leks. Now, a very different system that we also study are these Aedes mosquitoes, and here females show a fascinating set of reproductive traits. How many offspring to produce, where to lay eggs, how much to invest in each offspring. So, we've been looking at how females look at a competition and predation in the offspring environments, in the larval environments, in these ephemeral little pools where they lay eggs. How does the competition and predation in these ephemeral pools shape female egg laying decisions and female behavior? Um, Also, because Aedes is an important vector of diseases like dengue, we've also looked at how ecological conditions may impact adult traits related to their ability to spread disease, like their flight ability, their foraging behavior, how frequently they might bite and take blood meals, how far they fly, and so on. Now, we study these questions in different experimental setups. We carry out controlled experiments with our lab colony. We carry out semi natural, artificial container experiments, and we also carry out experiments in natural pools where females lay eggs. Apart from looking at individual species specific studies, To test how general processes are, we also carry out these comparative analyses where we extract data from the literature and use phylogenies to test hypotheses. For example, how can mating system affect the life expectancies of males versus females in mammals? Or looking at the phylogeny of birds and trying to understand how a complex trait like migration has evolved. As I was telling you, we also ask questions in applied ecology. We are interested in linking behavior and life history traits to population responses. I've already explained to you some applied questions with mosquito ecology. Apart from that, we've been studying how invasive plants affect butterfly communities through the way butterflies are able to use habitats. We've also been looking at fragmented landscapes, at butterfly populations in these landscapes, and asking how butterfly foraging decisions, their larval host plants, and other functional traits affect the way they are able to move across these landscapes and are distributed across these landscapes. Finally, we've been looking at black buck ecology in human dominated landscapes and asking how black buck navigate environments that are very variable in risks because they have these, they consist of this matrix of natural grasslands, settlements, plantations, and grazing lands. We've also looked at how black buck foraging behavior may impact the way they use crops and therefore lead to human wildlife conflict, and whether we can use an understanding of foraging strategies of black buck to predict where crop use is likely to occur and therefore target our mitigation strategies. So, I hope this has given you a flavor of the kind of research that we carry out. As you can see, we ask both basic and applied questions. We look at a variety of study systems, but with behavior and life histories in mind, at looking at how ecological conditions act to shape these behaviors and life histories. Most of our work is in the field in wild populations because we are interested in understanding how complex conditions shape traits, but we also have strong lab studies with mosquitoes because they allow us to perform careful, controlled experiments. To find out more about our work, our publications, and more about individual study systems, please visit our lab website. And thank you.